Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. She doesn't care enough about Disney Star Wars to even be bothered today. So you're stuck with me. And we're going to talk about Ahsoka on Disney Plus and the lack of buzz and the lack of ratings around this show. Now, I want to disclaim this video before I get into it any further that I have not watched the show yet. And I like Rosario Dawson just fine, and Dave Filoni, the cartoons were okay, but I'll be honest, I never personally considered them canon on the same level as the movies. Apparently Disney disagrees though, because they're basically canonizing all of his characters in live action. You know, that's their prerogative, I guess. They paid, $4 billion. They can do whatever they want, but I can do whatever I want too, and I haven't had enough interest in anything Disney Star Wars after season 2 of The Mandalorian to even be bothered. Like, I still to this day have not seen The Rise of Skywalker. I've seen clips, and that's enough. I don't need to see anymore. I'm good. I really have no interest at all in Disney Star Wars. Oh, strike that. I did watch one episode of Obi-Wan. I'm like, yeah, this sucks. And I watched a half an episode of Boba Fett, and I'm like, yeah, this sucks. It's not getting any better. And even if Ahsoka is like the best damn show ever, I am so over Disney Star Wars that I don't care. There's definitely a lack of interest in Disney Star Wars. I mean, just look at all the merchandise clogging up store shelves. Kids aren't into this stuff. They're trying to, we're going to make Star Wars more accessible for kids. They don't care. So you're stuck with the adults that you've demonized and called racist and homophobic and misogynist and all that crap for the last couple of years. And they're done. They're out. A lot of adults are out. And I'm saying everybody. There are some people that still enjoy Disney Star Wars. But I have the same feelings about it as I do Disney's Doug. Okay? That's no look that up. It's very much a pale imitation of the original Nickelodeon show, and that's my feeling here. So we're going to talk about the lack of buzz and the lack of ratings. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. No woohoos today. Go out to clownfishtv.com. Go out to piratesandprincesses.net. Speaking of which, I found this absolutely hilarious that the subreddit Saltier Than Crait, which used to be ground zero for Star Wars hate, and then they did a heel turn and they said they were going to ban anybody who was part of what they considered the fandom menace, whether or not they were part of the fandom menace. That included us, even though I think I've only ever done 1 or 2 streams in the last 5 years with the Fandom Menace, and I don't consider us Fandom Menace. Not that I have any problem with the Fandom Menace, but we're not really joiners. We're not really part of a group. But Saltier Than Crait said that they would ban all these negative talking YouTube channels, all these negative ninnies like Geeks and Gamers and Doomcock and Bounding into Comics and us and Forbes, freaking Forbes. Yes, Forbes would get you banned from Saltier Than Crait because we couldn't have any negative talk about Disney Star Wars on that subreddit, and they're complaining up a storm. They are about Ahsoka. We've got, what's this one? Ahsoka has no respect for the intelligence of its audience, and this is my favorite, and we're going to come back to this one. It's got 144 comments. Apathy for Ahsoka. So yeah, Ahsoka kind of landed with a thud with a lot of people. And I look, there are a number of reasons for that. I think Disney Star Wars has damaged the brand. Star Wars is a damaged brand at this point. And Ahsoka is a character from the cartoon shows. And she's a popular character. I'm not going to argue that she isn't a popular character, but for most normies, they don't know who she is. Most normies only watch the movies. They're not reading the books. They're not reading the novels. They're not reading the comics. They're not reading or watching the shows, the animated series. So if you're going to pull a character like Ahsoka into live action, you're going to have to do a damn good job explaining where she came from. And I think a lot of casual Star Wars fans, or fans who never really watched the cartoon shows, Clone Wars and Rebels, are going to look at this and be like, wait, Anakin had an apprentice? When the hell did this happen? You know, like, wait, there's this whole like secret apprentice. What the hell's going on? What is going on? How'd she survive Order 66? What the hell is going on here? Why are there so many Jedi? When Yoda told Luke that he was the last of the Jedi, or that they're Jedi adjacent, so it doesn't count. They've got force powers. They can use lightsabers. They're just technically not Jedi. So what I told you was true from a certain point of view, right? But yeah, right out of the gate, the viewership numbers were not great. They were way lower than Obi-Wan's and Boba Fett's. And, you know, it's just not good. It really was not good. But then they said they had a win. They said the Nielsen ratings were proving the haters wrong. The Nielsen ratings were fantastic. Ahsoka managed to fight the 5th place on the Nielsen streaming viewership chart and took the silver medal on the list of streaming originals behind only Who is Aaron Carter? Who is Aaron Carter? I haven't watched that show. That's good for Ahsoka, but it's also a testament to Disney Plus's new release strategy. By moving up its release, Ahsoka went from an overnight drop fans would either need to stay up to watch or catch the next day after work, while studiously avoiding spoilers, to primetime appointment viewing. Okay, well, that didn't work out very well because apparently, according to Bounding in the Comics, another website that's banned on Saltier Than Crait, by the way, and we're going to go back to that because that really irritates the hell out of me. It's like, wait a second. You're banning us, saying that we're too negative. We're too negative, but you guys are out there talking more shit about Star Wars than we are. We don't talk about Star Wars that much because there's not much to talk about. It's a dead franchise, right? It really is. It's definitely declining returns. And really, to most people, I think at this point, we'll always have the original trilogy. Some people say the prequels too. Whatever, but Disney Star Wars is a dead brand for most people. It's just another science fiction thing on TV. Ahsoka viewership, Ahsoka, Super Ahsoka. Is that what she becomes when she comes back with the white? She becomes Super Ahsoka. She's going to make you wet. Ahsoka viewership falls off of Nielsen's overall top 10 chart. Second week, nearly identical to Andor, and that was chasing the audience. So it fell off already. In its first week of release, the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka racked up 829 million minutes, which was good for 5th on Nielsen's top 10 overall chart. Okay, so it was in 5th place, behind Suits, Who is Aaron Carter, Bluey, and Grey's Anatomy. Well, good news, it beat Coco Melon and Ballers, so I guess there's that. With the release of the show's 3rd episode, Time to Fly, they fly now? The series has fallen off Nielsen's overall top 10 chart, with Suits remaining at the top, and One Piece claiming the 2nd spot. How is One Piece in the second? I thought One Piece was like the biggest thing on Netflix right now, but now who knows? Anyway, it's doing pretty good. Deservedly so, by the way. I mean, granted, my expectations for One Piece were, absolute floor, but it was pretty good. Other newcomers include Netflix's You're Not So Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, SWAT, and The Big Bang Theory. Oh, God. That's where all the geeks are going to watch The Big Bang Theory with that Sheldon. He's so funny. In order to find Ahsoka, one has to look in the Nielsen's top 10 originals list, where the series took the 5th spot. Again, originals only, not overall. It was beaten by One Piece and Who is Aaron Carter. And Wheel of Time? That's not good. And The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On. Interestingly, if one does a simple minutes viewed divided by the runtime, one would think that Ahsoka's viewership might have increased by nearly 5 million people in the first week. The first 2 episodes were released with a total runtime of 101. If you plug 829 million, now we're mathing. Math is hard. If you plug in 829 million minutes viewed to the equation, that comes to 8.2 million. Using the same equation for the 3rd episode, you divide 487 million by 37 minutes, runtime of the 3rd episode, and you get 13.1 million. So they're saying on YouTube that the reporting is not tracking the watch time for the 3rd episode, but includes the previous 2 episodes as well. That might be. I don't know. They're just trying to make this look as good as possible. They're trying to make this look as good as possible. It's not a slam dunk, guys. So here's Saltier Than Crait. Again, this is the subreddit that kind of originated, from what I remember. It's been a while. I mean, it started in 2017. This is a subreddit that kind of originated Star Wars bitching. It was kind of the birthplace of the fandom menace. And then they decided to turn around and be like, we don't want anything to do with the fandom menace. And you're not even allowed to link to any of their videos or any articles by, the alt-right website Forbes. Forbes. Well-respected financial site Forbes is a haven for Nazis or some shit, according to Saltier Than Crait. Anyway, I love this. This is fantastic. This is like a title of one of our videos. So congratulations, guys. You've reached clownfish levels of clickbait here. Apathy for Ahsoka. Anyone else noticing the absolute lack of buzz or excitement surrounding this show? Yes. Very few people talking about it. A couple people talk about it on Twitter, but like there's no water cooler talk about Ahsoka. Like there was around The Mandalorian. People were actually excited about Star Wars again for a season and a half. And then they shot themselves in the fucking foot because it's Disney and they can't help it. They fired Gina Carano, and that was just kind of the beginning of the end. Anyway, most of the general public doesn't care. They don't. There are a few reasons for this, according to Boba Fett. Way too much source material. You have to watch all the movies, 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, 4 seasons of Rebels, and even some Mandalorian to understand what's going on. That is true. It is not an accessible show. And that actually came up in some of the reviews for it. They said if you are a Star Wars fan and you're a fan of Dave Filoni's animated series, you're probably going to love the show. Again, I haven't watched this. I don't really give a shit to watch it. I don't care. But I'm just saying, like, if you're a fan of those shows, you'll probably like this show. However, it's not accessible for general Star Wars audiences that only know Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and now Rey. But, I'm saying, like, they know the movies. They don't know these other characters. Way too much material to have to prep new fans. True. If anyone wants to get into Star Wars, this is a horrendous entry point. That is true. And again, someone who's never watched the cartoons, you're going to be like, wait, Anakin had an apprentice? When the hell did that happen? People are catching up to the fact that anything new Star Wars is not good. Oh my God, can you say that? You sound like Clownfish TV. You sound like Clownfish TV, Saltier Than Crait. Multiple garbage seasons and movies have slowly killed public perception of what used to be one of the biggest brands ever. Yes. Can we say that now? Are we allowed to say it? Because all you got to do is go to freaking Ollie's where toys go to die, where Disney junk goes to die. Aisles of unsold Star Wars shit. Okay, and we're not just talking Last Jedi stuff. And there's still some Last Jedi stuff left. We're talking new vehicles and figures that just came out a couple of months ago that just are not selling at Walmart or Target or whatever. Luke Skywalker figures, which I never thought I would see. Lots and lots of Grogu. These are characters that should always sell, and they're not. Nobody knows who Ahsoka is. Kind of a piggyback. Yeah, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show flopped. If Boba Fett and Obi-Wan failed, how in the hell does Disney expect Ahsoka to be popular? Yeah, people have been burned too many times by now. Star Wars is slowly dying and fading from relevance. Can we say that now? Even when good content like Andor comes out, people don't care. That's true. I've had a lot of people tell me that Andor was actually pretty good. I kept forgetting it existed. Like I have no interest in watching it because I've checked out from Disney Star Wars. I don't care. If this trend continues, there's a good chance that the next wave of Star Wars movies could end up flopping. They absolutely will because nobody cares. They don't care. And you've failed to cultivate kids as your new audience. Now, I think Clone Wars did a good job of that. My son, that was actually his entry point into Star Wars was Clone Wars. So he never grew up in a time when, Anakin, young, helmetless Anakin wasn't a thing, and it's kind of weird to think like when I was a kid, it was a big shock that, well, I was very, very young when Empire came out, but like it was a shock to people, older people that, Vader was Anakin, and then we couldn't imagine Anakin without a helmet. And we thought for years, like, well, what were the Clone Wars about, and what was all that about, and lots of speculation. And so my kids grew up knowing like all this backstory, and that was not something that we had, So when they think Darth Vader, they immediately think Anakin. They immediately think, Clone Wars. I think it has to do with the interest in the characters. Andor is probably the least known character in Star Wars media, even for casual fans. Normie, what is Andor? Fan. The guy that was in Rogue One, it was with Jyn fighting the Empire. Oh, I kind of remember that character from 5 years ago who barely did anything in the film. Yeah, right? Now we have Ahsoka, who is extremely boring in live action. If you never saw the animation, you'd wonder why no one cares about this character. I don't get why they insist on bringing back well-known characters just to completely change their personalities. Ahsoka, Sabine, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, Luke, etc. Making these characters so dry and boring is a horrible creative choice. They keep doing it. I don't know. You weren't allowed to say that, Saltier Than Crait. Because if you said that, you'd get banned. Freaking no goodnicks over at Clownfish TV. And Forbes. Oh, jeez. What dumbasses. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. Oh, my God. They said the fact that it was piggybacked off a relatively unknown character, her. Yeah, it's basically just Dave Filoni's animated characters in live action. That's what the Disney Plus universe has become. And, I like Dave Filoni, okay? I don't have a problem with his shows. But, again, there's a divide between people that have watched those animated series and those that only watch the movies. Just like, it'd be like bringing droids characters into live action with no explanation whatsoever. Who these characters were, where they came from. I watched all of Andor, and I didn't realize until you explained it to me that it started the guy from Rogue One. Oh, my God. I'm sure they have journalists on speed dial ready to smear anyone speaking negatively about their show's movie and snarky articles as right-wing man babies. Saltier Than Crait would ban you if you were associated with any of these YouTube channels. And Forbes. And fucking Forbes. I am not kidding. Forbes. I'm not too sure. The majority of the new Star Wars films were either at or over the $1 billion mark. Rise of Skywalker was close. Lightsabers in Star Wars will always be cool, etc., etc. I hope they put the Skywalker saga to bed. They never should have reactivated that. So this is just like Star Wars The Last Jedi. There we go. That movie destroyed Luke. And when that happened, Star Wars died. That is true. Luke was the beating heart of Star Wars. He was Star Wars. And when you destroyed Luke Skywalker, you destroyed the franchise. I haven't watched Solo and/or Rise of Skywalker, Mandalorian Season 2 or Season 3. The prequel era relies on Anakin's story. The original trilogy and beyond is Luke's. Why is Luke not in Ahsoka since she's going after Thrawn? Damn good question. He's pouting. Until Disney retcons the sequel trilogy and fixes Luke, Star Wars will remain dead. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Yeah, 100% this. Luke's treatment's why I'm boycotting Lucasfilm. They're not getting a dime out of me until Jake Skywalker is replaced with Luke Skywalker. Again, if they're allowing this on Saltier Than Crait, why are they banning anyone who links to any videos of ours or links to Forbes? I'm just saying. But yeah, it does seem like Ahsoka's in a lot of trouble and nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's just like we did the video yesterday on Kevin Smith's He-Man Season 2. Nobody cares. They're going to try to make people care. They're going to pump out a bunch of articles because they got these bloggers on speed dial and make it seem like everybody's talking about this show. But in the real world, nobody is. They're like, what's with the orange chick? And what? She was a cartoon character? Oh, that's that orange chick from that episode of The Mandalorian. Yeah, I don't get what her deal is. Aren't the Jedi dead? Why is she still hanging around? How does she know Luke? That doesn't make any sense. And you're right, to a normie, it doesn't make sense. And honestly, Disney Star Wars doesn't make sense. And I think a lot more people are going to know about from here on out. So good luck with that, Disney. I mean, you did this to yourselves. You've had years to course correct, and you've done nothing to fix it. You had one shot. You had one shot with The Mandalorian, and you you blew that up too. So you get what you deserve. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.